And welcome, ladies and gents, to another beautiful day. Hey, today is October 4th, Monday. My apologies for not being here, but we can still take care of business, learn, and grow. You're probably already at the right place after all you've clicked on the video. Goal for today, I will compare and order absolute values. I will compare integers, order integers, and find absolute value of integers. Homework assignment number 29. Pause if you need. Actually, I'll give you some time, so give me a sec. Here is your bell work. Go ahead and take care of your bell work. Pause the video, and come back when you're ready. All right, folks, so at this time, you should have paused the video. You should have completed your bell work. I gave you the page on Friday. And we can happily talk about this tomorrow and share some ideas. Nevertheless, it's time to move on to Chapter 4, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Ordering and Comparing Integers. All right, so we have a five-fold goal today. We've already done a lot with whole numbers and decimals. We've simplified expressions, combined like terms, added, subtracted, multiplied, and divided integers. We've even solved equations. Excuse me, not with integers, but with whole numbers. We've even solved equations with whole numbers and decimals. All right, so today I will, number 1, define and identify what integers are. Number 2, write the opposites of integers. Number 3, use integers to represent real-world data. Number 4, graph integers on a number line. And number 5, write the absolute value of integers. Now, folks, if I could just point out, please, much of this you will already know. One of the beautiful parts about videos is you can fast forward. You could change the settings. So Mr. Callan talks at double speed like a chipmunk. You could fast forward. You could pause if you get stuck. Pause, rewind, slow down a bit. So anytime you're ready, you may proceed on. Pause the video right now, write your paper, and come on back when you're ready. So you should now have a paper with the proper title, assignment number 29, compare and order integers and absolute value. Today's date, October 4th, page 93, 6 to 24 is evens, 25 to 40 is all, number 47 is A through F. I'm going to pause the video, come on right back in a sec. And just a note, folks, number 47, it does say all of number 47, parts A through F. We want to keep our algebra skills fresh and going. So make sure you do all that, showing all the steps. You know what to do. All right, let's carry on, shall we? Let's talk vocabulary first. We got integers, we got negative numbers, we got positive numbers, absolute value, opposites, and integers in life. I'm going to talk about each of these one at a time. And of course, you have a notebook so you can write some notes. Here we go with integers, ladies and gents. Integers are all the whole numbers and their opposites. Now remember, whole numbers have no parts. They do include 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to infinity and beyond. Meanwhile, integers include all the all the whole numbers and their opposites. So starting from 0, you could increase or you could decrease, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. So with that in mind, I think what I'll ask you to do is to pause, write down which of these numbers are integers, and I'll throw the rest in the trash in a second. So pause the video, write down the integers, and come on back when you're ready. So folks, I asked you to write down which are integers. Meanwhile, 75 and 3500ths is naught. After all, that had parts. Speaking of parts, -8/18ths and 25/53rds have parts. 4/14ths is also a piece, a portion, and 8500ths. Trash it. All of these numbers, positives, negatives, and so on, none of those numbers have parts, and so these were the integers. All right, so let's talk positive and negative numbers, shall we? 0 is the only number in existence that I know of, at least, that is neither positive nor is it negative. It is its own beast, its own special kind of number. Positive numbers may be written with or without a positive or plus sign, but negative numbers should always be written with that negative symbol, or you could say the opposite symbol. After all, please remember that negative numbers are simply the opposites of their positive counterparts. So I'm going to ask you to pause in your notebook, put these numbers in an appropriate place on a number line, pause the video, come on back when you're ready. So what I meant to say, and I should have put this before, just take a number, drag it to its appropriate spot, and if you've done it correctly, this is what your number line should look like. We got positives 1, 2, 3, and 5 on the right. We got -2 to the left, -3 is not there, -4, and -5. All right, let's continue on talking about opposites, shall we? Opposites are simply integers that are of equal distance from 0. So for example, if I started at 7, positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it would take 7 steps, 7 units to get to 0. Well, the same can be said of -7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So -7, +7 are opposites. -3, +3 are opposites. -300 and +300 are opposites. So at this time, I'm going to ask you in a moment to pause your video, match each integer with its opposite, which we can also call its additive inverse. More on that vocabulary later. Pause, come on back when you're ready. All right, so you're back. You're supposed to be matching all the opposites, all the numbers with their opposites. It should be of no surprise. -9 is the opposite of +9. -56 is the opposite of +56, and +235 the opposite of negative, as well as the others. Pause the video if you need to check your answers, fix anything, come on back when you are ready. And so here we go with some further. Well, let's talk integers in life first. We use these all the time. When it comes to finances, you can, of course, understand that either you gain money, actually, that's often why things are called in the black, because you're gaining money, you're making a profit. Things, meanwhile, are called in the red if you are losing money. So negative integers are used in finances. In games like golf. You know, par is a fancy word, short word, for the average score. This is what you're expected to get. Now, if you take more swings than normal, maybe you take 4 more swings than normal, you would be considered 4 strokes above par. On the flip side, if you're so good that you take less golf strokes, you might be below normal, or they might say -2 below par, 2 strokes below. Elevation, not so surprising here. You may gain elevation. You can climb up a mountain, 4,500 feet, or go down into Death Valley, which I think is about 300 feet below sea level. I can't recall. I should have looked that up. Death Valley is one of the lowest places on the planet, also one of the hottest. Temperatures, no surprise here. Speaking of the hottest, I believe Death Valley approached either 120 or 130 degrees Fahrenheit this past summer. Uh, of course, you head toward the poles and you're going to be well below 0. And so integers, ladies and gents, used in all sorts of things in life. We're going to go ahead and take some practice now. I'm going to ask you to make yourself a little chart. And each of these words you're going to put in place. So I'll let you put the first 4 words in, pause your video, put the first 4 words in, and then come on back when you are ready and I'll give you some more words. So pause now, please. All right, so in these particular cases, withdrawal is meaning you're taking your money out, but deposit means you're putting money into a bank account. Naturally, fall means going down, and decrease also means going down. All right, so now we have another 4 words. Pause, put those words in place. Come on back when you are ready. And we're back with placement of these 4 words. Loss is a negative naturally, while above goes up. Rise also increases and gain also increases. All right, pause your video, do the next 4. And coming back where higher is going to be an increase or a positive number, but below is going to be a decrease. Less also means going down, and more than is going up. All right, we got 4 more. Pause your video and come on back when you're ready. Increase up, spend going down, or a negative. Less than is also a decrease, and saving money is a good thing. Saving means you're going up. So if you need to at this time, pause, fix up any words that you need, and come on back when you are ready. All right, let's go ahead. Take a pause. Either think these aloud or you're welcome to write them down, but I think you could think them aloud just fine. Pause and come on back when you're ready. 7 degrees, keyword below 0, so we are talking a -7. And if you want to put the degrees sign, you may. Going up 4 floors is an increase. Now, you may or may not choose to write the positive or plus sign. I'm going to go ahead and do so. Owing $50, folks, that's a -50. While 150 meters above sea level is an increase or going up. Moving back 4 spaces, a -4, and 5 shots under par, hey, I just talked about golf, is also going to be in the negatives. Almost there, ladies and gents, almost there. I know some of you have sped through this because you're feeling quite confident. Last thing we're going to talk about is absolute value. Now, be very intentional about this. Absolute value does not mean its opposite. Instead, absolute value literally means the distance between that number and 0. So if we start at -6, it would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. So the absolute value of -6 is 6. On the other hand, the absolute value of +6 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is also 6. Absolute value does not mean take the opposite. So the absolute value of 2 would be 2. The absolute value of 4 would be 4. The absolute value of -4 would also be 4. Absolute value does not mean take the opposite of such. Let's do a little practice. Pause your video, write the absolute values, come on back when you're ready. And so to no surprise, absolute value of 7 is 7 steps away from 0. -24 is 24 steps away from 0. 43, still 43. 113 and 67. It does not mean take the opposite of the sign. It means how many steps, what is the distance from 0. We're going to do one last thing. This is the last bit of notes, perhaps the trickiest, and that is evaluating expressions with absolute values. Now, absolute values essentially are almost like grouping symbols. We must do them first. We cannot subtract until we know what the absolute value is. So when I'm going through this problem, the absolute value of -6 is 6. And now, of course, 6 minus 5 is 1. I'm going to do the problem right underneath now, a little more complicated. Again, we must figure out what these absolute values are before we can do any multiplication, division, or any other computation. So the absolute value of -12 is 12. The absolute value of 3 is, it's still 3. Now that we have taken care of those grouping symbols, if you will, those absolute values, now we know multiply and divide are equally strong. So we're going to go left to right here. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 6 times 3 is naturally 18. Sorry, I'm getting to the bottom of the screen. If you wish, pause the video, do these other two, and that's the end of notes. Come on back when you're ready. Absolute value of -3 is 3, and 2 plus 3, of course, is 5. Absolute value of -5 is 5. Absolute value of -8 is 8. Now we may continue on. Remember that subtract and add are equally strong. You don't ever do one over the other. You go left to right. So 15 minus 5 is 10, and 10 plus 8 is 18. Now, always possible, Mr. Callan made a mistake in the video, so please feel free to ask me the next day. Meanwhile, onward to, that's not the page I was hoping for. I think we are ready for some homework, ladies and gents. And so back to your homework now, page 93, number 6 to 24 even, 25 to 40 all, and yes, all of number 47, parts A through F to keep our algebra skills there. Take care, folks. I'll see you soon, and let's grow.